Hello, everyone. Welcome to this class. Today, I'm going to talk about the motto of United Nations. My name is Alicia Silva, and I will be with you for the next 45 minutes or so to talk about this topic. I hope you can find something interesting, something funny, or to learn why we love this project. Okay. First, we are going to start with where everything started with the discovery and this motto and the history of this. So Motto of UN began as a series of student-led Motto League of Nations simulation. The first simulation were called as an International Assembly, and the first which was held at the Oxford University in 1921. This inspired the Harvard Liberal Club to create this first American International Assembly. So they create this club and this first assembly in 1923. After the Second World War, the Motto League of Nations transitioned, as we know, to the current United Nations. So the motto also changed the name of the International Assembly or American International Assembly to the motto United Nations. In 1945, the first recorded instance of a conference of this type of motto was in the Swarthmore College on April 5th in 1947. Over 150 students from over 41 different countries participate in this model. The delegates simulate back then a General Assembly with the topic of development of an atomic energy. So this is a little bit of the history of this model of the United Nations, but it's more to look in this history part. But I don't want to get bored in this topic, so we are going to move on what is a motto of United Nations, or as we call MAN. The MAN, it is an academic event, an academic replication of the United Nations, and the aim is to educate youth participants to encourage to learn more about the current events around the world. So these topics are engaged in the topics of the United Nations agenda. So the students and the delegates must talk about these current events, these complex events around the world. The participants play the role of a diplomat representing a country or an NGO in this session, in this simulation of a session in a committee of the United Nations, such as Security Council, Human Rights, General Assembly, or the other committees that the UN already have. So it is a place where students can debate global governance and current issues, requires to the delegates create or make a position paper where they want or they need to explain in this debate what is the position of the country to this topic and specific that they are talking. They must be in a negotiation with other delegates because they must explain their points of view in this topic, and the debate comes with the information that the delegates have written in the position paper. So this is a project that I like very much because our students are able to develop many skills in this. They have to research a lot in a complex way, in a complex topic, and they must organize this information in the time because some of the times they must read a lot, and they have homeworks and they have trainings live. So they must organize everything in place to create these position papers and to be ready for the debate. They must follow procedures. These procedures are the rules that the debate has. So they cannot say whatever they want at whatever time they want. They must follow the rules of this debate in this negotiation. So they also must to explain everything in English. The official language for these debates are in English. In certain occasions, we can find different different language, for example, French and sometimes Spanish for the young ones, but most of the time and most of the committees debate in English. They also require to dress properly. They must wear a certain attire, as dressing professionally is an important way to show respect for the nation, for the organization, and the individuals that they are representing. So they have to take the role seriously, and it starts from the way they look. But these international disputes that they are going to represent the countries and debate to find these solutions, we call it resolutions. So the important thing in this, or the idea of this debate, is to come to a resolution. The idea to dealing with these international issues around this negotiating table and this debate is to come with a resolution. These resolutions is the way that the UN already works. All the delegates debate and make the points of view in the table to negotiate and to come with a resolution. So if you like to argue with your parents, this is a place for you to learn how to do it with all the elements or the points on your favor. Maybe not a good point for your parents, but this is a place where students can find tools to debate with a real argument, with a real purpose, okay? So I must warn you, this is not about winning. In the school or in the model as we do it in my class, it's not about winning because it is about the resolutions. Like I said, it is about to come with a solution for this specific topic. To solve a problem, you need to put your solution on the table and make it work for this specific topic. Then you try to convince everyone on this room, or at least your allies, that you have the best approach for this specific topic. But even then, sometimes it's just not enough. You have to go further and use different tools to be heard by your delegates, your fellow delegates. But you as an IB students will be able to do it. You will be what you need for this task and you will come over it. So I like very much this model and the way that we teach our students that winning is not our purpose. It is about the resolutions. It is about to create this, to increase the self-esteem in our students, to they feel comfortable in public speaking, in creating them this global engagement, to be leaders of tomorrow. So as many of you know, we are called a school. We are an IB school, so that means that we follow the philosophy and the ethos of the International Baccalaureate. The International Baccalaureate has worked with schools, governments, and other organizations to help to create internationally minded young people who can work together to make a better and more peaceful world. This last part is one of the main goals of the UN. So as you can see, it's very connected, the IB philosophy with the United Nations philosophy, with this model in class that we are trying to teach our students to develop these skills through this philosophy. So we're focusing on develop this multilingualism, this international mind, this intercultural understanding by develop these attributes of the IB learning profile and through the skills, the approaches to learning skills. That is the name that receive those skills in the IB programs. So this intercultural understanding, for example, is very important because our students are able to be in the culture by researching the country that they are representing, because most of the time the students have not able to represent their own country. Most of the times they represent countries that doesn't even know and heard anything about it. So they have to research everything, including culture. So it is a very good way to our students can be in a culture that they don't know and they understand the way that it works, because like I said before, these topics are very complex, so they have to go further to look for a solution. The solution most of the times is not a solution that they already knew or already exist, so they have to create a solution, a creative solution to this topic. This type of simulations create opportunities for our students to practice also skills in research, in public speaking, in negotiating, like I said before, also in writing, and because they have to change the way that information that they took from the internet or from a certain page or from the United Nations to a position paper. So they have to be creative also in their writing skills. But everything of this model of United Nations happens in a very safe environment and a very structured environment where they can go through these skills or to use those skills, those approaches to learning, like I will call it from this point in the presentation. The approaches to learning that we have in IB programs, particularly in the middle years program that is from 7th graders to 10th graders. It is social skills, thinking skills, self-management, organization, transfer skills, research. Through the model or through the simulations, they must use many of these skills or many of these approaches to learning, and how they use it. For example, here I'm presenting an approach that is called social skills. And the task that they must use in the model of United Nations, it is cooperation with peers. Why? Because they have to hear what the other delegates said, and maybe it is something important for their country to create an alliance with them, with the other delegates, so they have to cooperate with other peers. They have to analyze the information that received from other delegates. So they are going to use all these categories, all these approaches to learning to grow in these skills and in this model. Sometimes students are very good at research, but are not very good at social skills, for example. But through this model is where they can develop more these skills that they don't have. So it is, like I said, a very structural environment, a very safe environment where they feel safe to talk. At the beginning, it can be tricky, or they can be nervous to speak in front of, I don't know, from 20 to 50 students that they don't know, because most of the time they are from different schools. So they have to go through this nervousing thing that they experience during the debate to talk in front of them. Because also there is a moderator that we call chair, or the secretariat. It is in charge of the moderation of the debate. So they are going to tell you that you need to talk. If you're not talking, if you're not participating, they are going to say, you need to participate, you need to talk, you need to give us your position, you need to give us your solutions to this issue. And so you cannot be there sitting in your chair comfortably hearing your fellow delegates. It's not working like that, because all of them must work through these topics or through these problems. I'm gonna talk about the attributes of the IB learner profile, because it has a very close connection with the approaches to learning. The attributes of the IB learner profile, it is like a cord that connects from primary years program to the CP to the degree program in high school. So it goes through the elementary school, middle school, high school. So this IB learner profile, these attributes are very important in the model, because allows the participants to develop and deepen their conceptual understanding and their knowledge about global issues and skills for international awareness and intercultural understanding that I said, and gives them the opportunity to work together. So these attributes, for example, in here we have communicators. They must negotiate the ideas and the knowledge with the peers, like I said, because they must hear what they say about the topic and the resolution and the solution that they are proposing, think about it, and negotiate with them if they are not agree, to come in a point where they can work together. So this is the way that they express and use the language in many ways. So they are going to be very good communicators through this model. They also must be caring, because it's not about to say, this is my solution and your solution doesn't work, and I don't care. They must show empathy and compassion, because the topics most of the time are very delicate. So it is human rights involved. It is human lives and human rights, and in place where you must try to solve these problems, but it's not like talking about apples and cookies. It's people. There are persons that are living through these problems. So they must be caring through this model. The students can develop this understanding and this language culture and build these competencies that they need in order to make ethical decisions, to solve and to manage these problems. So this must be, the cooperation with peers also must be in place, and they must show this attribute of the IB learning profile. Another attribute that I enjoy very much to see in my students is thinkers, because they must check, or they must understand all the information and evidence, and it is new for them because the topics sometimes are very far from our realities. Atomic waste disposal, refugees problems, sometimes it's very far from the things that we know, but they must go through this information and to check the evidence, and they must be thinkers through these topics. They must be creative in the way that they use this evidence to create solutions. And this is one of the most tricky or complicated part in the simulations, because I can give them the resource or the tools that they need to create these creative solutions. They must do it by the evidence that they found, because most of the times I'm not going to be able to read everything what they read, because imagine I have 20 students and 5 different topics, and I can read everything what they read because it is a lot of information. So they have to manage this evidence, this research in a creative way to express the position of the country. And it is also important to know for you that they as individuals can believe in something, but they cannot express their personal opinion. They must do it as the country's position it is in reality. So for example, if I'm not agree in the way as a person, I'm not agree as a person in the way that my government it is doing something, it doesn't matter, because the position of the country, it is certain position of the specific topic, and I'm representing that country. So I have to follow that line on the position of the country. And I also have to investigate that, because I don't know where or how Spain think about this COVID situation, but I'm representing as a delegate to Spain, so I must know this position in this specific topic. So this attribute of the IB learner profile is very important. I'm just mentioning 3 of these attributes. We have 10 attributes. I like to think that these are values also. because, for example, as you can see in the past one in caring, it is very good in our students to be caring, but it's not just an attribute, it goes further. So these attributes are 10 attributes, and I'm just talking about 3 of them, but in reality, we can see that our students work with these attributes all the time in the classroom, in the simulation, in their life. I like very much because these skills or these approaches to learning that they learn through the simulations, or these attributes that they develop through these simulations, is not only for the classroom, it's not only for the debate. To this day, I know that some universities are very interested in students that participate in these models, because they know how much or how many skills they have to develop to the simulations. So they are very interested in students that they know how to write an essay, how to research, how to show evidence, to be creative to these solutions, to check reliable sources, also to how to cite evidence and information from different sources. So they are known that the universities, the college, known that our students are very well prepared for this university life and for this high school life, with all these skills that we develop through this program. I like very much to see in my students that they grow from one year to another, of course. But for example, I'm going to talk in this presentation about a model that is very close to our philosophy, and we enjoy it a lot in New York City. So we like to go through the simulations, because it is like, you can see it. You can live with your students the way that they grow through the simulations. So it is not something like a grade, because you have a 6 and in the next model you have a 9. No, it's not like that. You can see it. You can feel it. Like I said, the students develop this self-esteem, and you can see that, because at the first model, maybe they are shy and maybe they are quiet, but in the next model, they want to talk all the time. They are looking forward to talk to your classmates, your delegates, fellow delegates, and they raise their placards all the time. So you can see what is happening and how they are developed these skills. But it's not something that just happened in my class or during my 40 minutes of classes. This is coming from all of our programs from elementary school, for example. The IB programs, like I said, it is a primary years program for elementary, middle years program from middle school, and CP and DP programs for high school. So the preparation for the model of UN involvement it starts with the primary years program. This PYP program, prepares students for global engagement through inquiry into rights and responsibilities in the struggle to share final resources with other people or with other living things. This week we experienced the PYP exposition, and the students talk about the students exposition was very, very good, and they go through these attributes, certainly, because you can see how they are connecting, how they are taking this responsible action to make difference. And this way that they connect with those communities, with people that is in a specific situation, I think make them to look for the equal opportunities, to start in peace and conflict, to make a resolution, to connect with our experience to global issues. So I think it is very, very important that you know that this model developed those skills, and it is very close connected with the IB philosophy, because we work with them from elementary school to high school. So when they are decide to participate in this type of simulations, they can be able to do it because they have the resources, or at least some of them, and they will develop the other ones in this model by these programs. So I like very much to receive the students in the middle years program, because here we talk, or here we work with key concepts, and these key concepts are connected with these issues, with these global issues. This MYP program, it is where they can build background knowledge and create and use this background knowledge into something else, that is these other topics or these global issues, connect with these global issues. They have to go through the inquiry to make questions to them, or make questions that they need to answer to be able to speak in front of their fellow delegates about this specific topic. They have to go in advance because they must know what questions are going to be asked, and they must look for the answer before. So the the Middle Years Program, or MYP program, offers students many opportunities to build this background knowledge and these personal skills that supports our middle school programming. For example, in this case, the model of the United Nations. The concepts that I said, for example, key concepts are like communities, change, logic, perspective, relationships, systems. So as you can see, are concepts that are connected with the global issues. The students through this program also experience with teaching and learning features engagement with 6 important global contexts and structures inquiry through the kinds of factual, conceptual, and debatable questions around which these model events are centered. So these inquiry questions and these factual and conceptual questions gives purpose to the topic and to the information that they research for it. These IB skills and these IB programs, we use those skills to give our students a different experience through this simulation. For example, we have the model in our school that is SISMUR, but we also participate in an international model that is a Montessori model, United Nations. And this Montessori model we like so much because we can see our students follow these values of IB philosophy and school philosophy. So I'm going to show you a video of how the students live this model and how much they like to be in there, and a little bit about the dynamics of the model, for you can see it. I hope you can see it good and hear them good because of the internet and these technical issues, but I really want to show you because it is not like I'm talking here for 30 minutes about what it is, because you can see it, okay? So this is a specific model. Like I said, this is the Montessori model, United Nations. In our case, we participate in the Chicago model and in New York City for 3 years. From 3 years, we've been participating in this model. Our students learn so much through this in this model and live so many fun experience. But I want you to watch this video.
The Montessori Model UN process is one of incredible growth for students.
There's an energy around 2,000 kids who are eager and starting to work on.
The Montessori Model UN process is one of incredible growth for students.
There's an energy around 2,000 kids who are eager and starting to work on today's problems.
It's not just a practice session, it's real life, real issues, and real solutions.
What MMUN does, it really aligns itself with this natural idealism of young people.
We watch in 2 days students grow so much.
This conference is so impactful because of the brilliant young minds that all bring their ideas, their questions, and their creativity to the table.
And we're really lucky to have this opportunity to do this.
What is interesting is to see what happens to students once they start realizing that there are problems that they can understand, there are problems that they have opinions on, and they have some ideas about solutions.
And it's really a beautiful thing to watch and see them transform from students to delegates to absolute world changers.
That is a very special part of the Montessori Model United Nations.
We have a responsibility to think about the future that we dream of, and then to understand the world that we will make. And that, for me, is an answer to the question of what is MMUN? Thank you.
It's like a really cool experience, and I really like it because I get to learn more about what's going on in the world, and I don't necessarily get a lot of that in school.
It has an impact on you. It inspires you in any way which is possible from these to learn these things at a young age so that they remember it. And stop world problems.
This year, the topic 1 is the situation in the Great Lakes region of Africa.
I was touched on with the African group, but in order to become part of the alliance, you have to sign the treaty, the Outer Space Treaty, but also we are going to add on to that treaty to make...
Contemplating wealthy countries could fund space exploration equipment for developing countries.
First of all, we got countries together. We all came up with different resolutions, so we had lots of different ideas, and then we went through a line-by-line review, and changes were made, a lot of changes.
They're coming up through life, and they're able to continue these really important conversations that were started here at MMUN.
Doing is they're writing their clauses down, all their solutions, what they would like to see implemented when they adopt the resolution, if they do.
Young people such as yourselves actively help to positively influence the resolutions and policies developed within these very walls of the United Nations. I am personally very proud of your efforts to upholding and implementing the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I believe in the power of the youth.
We're really lucky today to be at the United Nations in New York City. It's been an auspicious moment. We've been able to listen to the resolutions that the students have prepared.
Thank you, distinguished chair and fellow delegates. The Committee of Disarmament and International Security spent a day collaborating to create Resolution 1.1 on the topic of the prohibition of the dumping of radioactive waste.
It's been a great pleasure for us to work together with the Montessori Model United Nations, and this is exactly the type of engagement that we need from young people.
When they walk into this building, the idea of it being a simulation vanishes, and they are actually ambassadors, sitting in the very same seats as their adult counterparts. And in this room, they vote or pass resolutions by consensus. I think it's one of the most powerful parts of our whole conference.
It's more than wonderful that you are engaged in what we are doing.
My message to the students today is, you inspire me, and I can't wait until you are running the world.
But that opens their eyes to real path of development for themselves, and more importantly, is making a difference today.
The smallest steps to make a big difference.
And you have to see it to believe it.
We strongly believe that our students participating in this type of simulations gives meaning of everything what they learn in the school, in the classroom. So I'm very glad to participate in a project like this. I'm very glad to see my students participating, developing, growing the skills, their abilities, competencies through this program, through this project. That's why I want to share with you all the information about what is this program and how it's connected with the IB, and how we make it work for our students. Because at the end of the day, the purpose of this is our students to learn and to have tools and resources for tomorrow. We strongly believe that our students can make difference tomorrow. So we want them to be prepared for this uncertain world that we are living. And I'm a truly believer that this program develops what they need for the tomorrow. So that is what I want to share with you today. I hope you can find something for you, for your children, for yourselves to go through these skills in these programs. If you need more information about it, you can ask for it directly in the school or in my email that I put it on the first slide. But thank you very much for you to be here to see this presentation, to see about this. It is very complicated for me to give you like a proper class, like a Model United Nations class, because it is a whole year preparation for it. Our students in August doesn't know anything about it, but at the end of the day, they know how to debate on this. So it is very complicated to show all of it in just 45 minutes. So I want to show you what is this project, what is this class, and how it is connected, how it is closed with our classrooms, with our topics in the classrooms, with the skills that they develop in Spanish, in math, and how they use it through these simulations or through this model. Thank you very much for being here. It was a pleasure for me to be giving this talk. Thank you very much.